It is another nice and beautiful cool day here in Miami, as you can tell by my long sleeve outfit here. Even cool enough to wear pants. It's only like in the low 60s today. Too bad it's not like this more often. I can get dressed up and look good for you guys more often. Something disturbing was brought to my attention earlier this week about what's going to happen coming in 2024 when it comes to basically a lot of different homeowners going bankrupt, guys, because of the unexpected surge in what they're going to experience in property taxes and insurance. And the thing is, it blindsides people because of their increased escrow. So a lot of people get sold on this idea when they buy a house, like, oh no, don't worry, you have a 30-year or a 15-year fixed mortgage, whatever it is. Even people that are brave enough to get a 5/1 ARM, don't worry, in the beginning, interest rate is fixed and it's not going to go up, so you don't have to worry about your mortgage payment going up, which is actually a complete flat-out lie, guys, because most of the time, your mortgage payment not only includes your mortgage, but it also includes your property taxes and your insurance. Part of the payment that you pay each month goes into what's called an escrow account in order to have the money there for your mortgage servicer to pay your property taxes and insurance every year. And here's the thing. If there's a shortfall in that amount that's being collected, or your amounts are going up, they need to increase the amount that they're charging you for your escrow payment each month. Now, one of my viewers, he works for a bank, and he has been lending for 34 years, guys, okay? Now, he lives on the Gulf Coast of Florida. He didn't want me to share his name or his company or anything like that, and of course I won't. But what he said to me is, he said, Michael, you bring up a lot of good points about, a lot of people being forced to sell their home soon because of all the increased costs with home ownership, and here's why. He said, listen, in February every year, all the mortgage servicing departments do what's called an escrow analysis in order to monitor what they've been escrowing for taxes and insurance versus the actual bill from the prior year. And because so many people are seeing an increase, they now need to collect more from you each year. It's that simple. And he believes that whenever this analysis happens come February 2024, that you're going to see the listings skyrocket, because when homeowners see their payments for escrow more than double to play catch up in order to provide enough cushion for the next year, that's going to be the killing blow for a lot of people, mainly because they're not going to be able to afford the increases. And even people who can afford the increase might be thinking twice, like, is it worth it to keep paying for this? Now here we have basically another hot potato property listed at $3.89 million. This house was purchased back in 2018 for only $1.2 million, and then once again was purchased in 2022 for $2.275 million. Tried renting it, okay, for $20,000 a month, finally rented it for $14,500 a month, decided that wasn't good enough. Now they're trying to sell the house, and so far no luck. Property tax bill here is a whopping $38,500 a year. He even told me, he said, one of my clients texted me the other day saying that she cannot afford this month's mortgage payment, And the escrow analysis hasn't even happened yet. And so this person is probably going to have to sell their house. And hopefully they'll be able to at least sell the house for more than what they paid for, right? That's the idea anyways. Depending on where the house is located and how much they paid for the house, and if they have any other debt on the property, that might not even be a possibility. And actually the other day, I asked you guys to let me know how much all of your different insurances are increasing, which is going to be the next video. I'm going to make a video all about that. But as I was going through some of your comments, I noticed some of them were related to this situation I'm talking about right now, so I want to highlight them in this video. So listen to some of these comments. Home insurance went from $3,300 when we bought our house in 2022 to $4,500 this year in 2023. No new coverage. Just price increase. We switched insurance companies, but less coverage. We went from Travelers to Allstate. Our taxes also went up $1,200 in 1 year based off of a $30K appraisal increase. So our house payment went up by $250 per month. Now this is exactly the reason why when people say that, oh, don't worry, buying's better than renting because you don't have to worry about your payment going up every year, like the landlord raising the rent. Not true, guys. Look at that. This person's payment's going up by $250 per month. How about this one? I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can if you'd like here, but this guy's a retired soldier. He lives up in Fort Walton in Florida. His auto insurance is going through the roof. His recent renewal was $2,200 for a 6-month policy, and he's already worrying about what it's going to be for the increase in homeowners insurance plus the wind coverage. And now, starting next year, he's going to start writing a separate check for an extra $100 a month just to go towards his escrow to soften the blow when every single year comes around and they have to reanalyze the escrow payments. How about this one? Last year, my homeowner's insurance was $5,500 for the year. I anticipated it going up, so throughout the year, I would add to my escrow $75 to $200 per month. And I was still $1,000 short, okay? Policy went up by $2,000, now it's $7,500 for the year, and the total shortage is $3,000. I will have to pay that upfront by February 1st or allow my mortgage payment to go up by $250 a month. This really sucks. I really don't want a higher mortgage payment. On the other hand, I don't want to take $3,000 out of my high interest savings account and give it to them to earn interest on it because they won't be paying the taxes and insurance till November of 2024. This is what people are facing right now, guys. This is the reality. These are your comments from people that mentioned this, and you know, this is going to be the sledgehammer that's going to drop for a lot of homeowners come next year when they start seeing these bills go up like crazy, you know, especially people on a fixed income. You know, how are a bunch of retirees that have homes down here supposed to keep up with these increases? You know, having an extra $250, $300, $400 a month increase in expenses can mean the difference of being able to afford your house or not. But I don't think this is just a Florida problem. This is not just a Florida problem. This is something that people are going to have to deal with nationwide as property values have surged, as well as how much homeowners insurance rates have gone up throughout the entire country. I mean, look at this one, guys. My homeowners insurance went up 40% in 1 year. I paid $2,500 to escrow to not have monthly payments go up, and it still went up $107 a month. Second year in a row for mortgage payment increases, and this is making it so this person cannot pay their extra $300 per month towards their principal payment like they usually do. And the reason for that is because they want to retire in their mid-60s. Looks like I'll be working till I die, but that's the plan they have for us. Usefulness ends when you can't pay taxes anymore. You know, this is just like sad but true, guys. This is what it's coming down to right now. You know, I saw one of my viewers, I think from Scotland, or maybe it was Ireland the other day, I can't remember, that told me in the comments like how much they're paying for everything over there. And it is just peanuts compared to what we have to pay over here in the US. Like, we're getting royally ripped off over here with everything, guys, most notably taxes and insurance. So I believe this is going to be a huge problem for a lot of homeowners come next year, and this is not going away, guys. Like, this is the thing. This is going to continue to get worse because this is the other side of the inflation equation that no one's looking at right now, because insurance is a service. I made a video about this the other day, how service inflation is actually on the rise. It's not going down, whereas the goods inflation is reportedly flat. And here's something else I want to bring up, because I've seen some people say, oh, don't listen to this guy. He's going to cost you money. You know, he keeps saying how things are going to go down and this and that, and everything's just gotten more expensive, you know, when we're talking about real estate and all of this. Well, how about this, guys? If you were to buy a house 2 months ago, okay, $500,000 house, 20% down payment, your mortgage payment would have been almost $3,000 a month, $2,960 a month as of the end of October, okay? But fast forward 2 months, by the end of December, if you were to buy the same house with 20% down, same price, now your new mortgage payment would be $2,608 a month. So it looks like I wasn't wrong after all, and waiting can actually save people money. And this is because the mortgage rates have been coming down and the prices are no longer surging, and this is making housing a little bit more affordable. You're talking somebody saving over $300 a month here. That's a pretty good savings. Here we have a small rental house on the water for $11,500 a month, but wait, don't laugh yet, because they were originally asking $13,500. So that is a $2,000 price cut, still no tenant. And Here's what happens when you pay too much for a house. Originally, the property tax bill for this house was $4,300 a year. Now it jumped to $28,500 a year, guys, because the original owner paid $190,000 and now they paid $1.725 million in 2022, which increases your bill exponentially. The problem is there's no one-size-fits-all advice when it comes to real estate or really anything in life. And so you have some people that hear this and say I'm wrong, and you can see the other side of the equation. You know, it can be right, guys, depending on what you're looking to do, right? Like if you live in an area where home prices have been flat, which is basically everywhere, if not coming down, you know, it's only still going up in a few places. It's not like prices are just skyrocketing and surging everywhere anymore. Those days are over. In fact, we're gonna get to that here in just a minute. But literally waiting just 2 months to buy a house could now save you $300 per month. And I want people to think about this because there's been a lot of, you know, FOMO and, you know, false urgency from lenders and realtors in the business for quite some time, you know, telling people, hey, if you don't buy now, then you're not going to be able to afford to buy pretty soon. Well, this is proof right here that that is actually not true. I have a feeling that as rates continue to come down into 2024, but home prices remain flat, you're going to see affordability continue to improve, and it's going to have the exact opposite effect on people's mentality. They're going to be like, why should I rush out and buy today? Wherein if I wait, you know, 5-6 months from now, I might be able to get the house for $200 a month cheaper, right? No brainer. Now, when it comes to real estate predictions for 2024, all of the big banks and all the real estate firms have basically came out and said recently that they expect prices to remain flat or even go down a little bit into 2024, which is a stark contrast from what they were saying 6 months ago when all of these places were saying, nope, in 2024, we're gonna see home prices go up another 3 to 5%. So what's happening is a lot of these companies and banks are starting to realize that the show is over, guys. Like, there's really no more room for growth going into 2024 because things have already basically crested, okay? Realtor.com, they say that they're gonna see prices go down by 1.7% in 2024. At the same time, we're gonna be seeing inventory go up, which is gonna be, you know, great for all home buyers, guys. Think about this. This is like the situation everybody's been waiting for. I know people want to see prices come down more, but look how much the tide is going to be shifting in just 1 year. In 1 year, we're going to see the amount of inventory go up. We're going to see interest rates come down, and simultaneously, you're going to see prices come down. That is like a dream scenario for any home buyer that has been sidelined right now. You might only be saving $300 a month, like in my example from a few minutes ago, but it's much better than continually being desperate to pay more. Goldman Sachs, they think that inventory is also going to go up and that home prices will basically remain flat. Redfin's now predicting that home prices will fall 1%, and oh man, I don't know, all year long they were coming out with stories talking about how in 2024 we were going to see home prices continue to go up, guys. Like I said, 1% coming down is almost nothing. It's a no-sum game. But when you add into the fact that maybe prices come down a little bit and interest rates come down and the amount of inventory goes up, this is a win for home buyers, okay? I'm not saying everybody should rush out and buy in that scenario. I'm saying the landscape is changing in your favor little by little. Fannie Mae, they believe that mortgage rates will average about 6.7% throughout the year of 2024, and that home sales will actually go up, meaning that the amount of houses that are being sold, but they think that home prices are going to continue to go up. They think it's going to go up another 2.4% next year. The only one that's bullish on the housing market still. Interestingly enough, I didn't see Zillow's prediction in this story, but I do remember that they were one of the worst offenders, thinking that, you know, in 2024 we were going to see home prices go up another 6%, guys. That is just dreamland at this point. There's almost no scenario in which that can happen unless inventory falls even lower than it is right now and there's more stimulus programs that come out from the Fed. I just don't see it, guys. I really don't. And I realize that this is not like the big housing crash that everybody's been hoping for. But once again, like I've explained in previous videos, this is just the beginning, guys. This is the beginning of things starting to turn around. 2024 is going to be that pivotal year where things really do change compared to how it's been these last few years, and it's likely to continue going in that direction for several years afterwards. Just like we had on the way up, we're probably going to see the downward slide on the way down. So shouldn't come as a massive surprise for anybody, really. Now here's some real estate related news I found interesting. There's only 3 states, now 4, that actually require home sellers to disclose to buyers of the flood risks of the property. And we're not talking about if the property is in a flood zone. We're talking about disclosing if there's ever been a flood before, has there been flood related damage to the property, have you had to fix the property due to a flood, you know, even with or without insurance, things like that. North Carolina recently became the 4th state this year to require these disclosures. The only other 3 that do are South Carolina, New York, and New Jersey. And they're saying the reason for this is so that way there's more transparency about the risks, and it could mean more homes can have flood insurance and fewer buyers have catastrophic surprises. So obviously the glaring thing here is that, you know, only 4 states throughout the entire country require this and all the rest of them don't. And a lot of people might see that as a big red flag. But I want to push back against this a little bit, not because I don't think people should know about this, just because what is this actually going to do for anybody? Is this going to prevent people from buying houses, especially in flood-prone areas? As you guys probably realize, just by looking at Florida here, for example, where we don't have these laws, the home values are the highest in places where houses are right on the water, where flooding is at the highest risk out of anywhere, right? Just like right here where I'm walking. The houses on the other side of the street are all waterfront, guys. And those waterfront houses will command double of what these houses cost that are behind me that are on the golf course. So does anybody actually care that there's a higher flood risk with the property? Is this going to deter anybody from buying a house in a flood zone? My guess is probably not. Now they say that the idea with this is that more people understand the hazards when they're looking at buying a home, and they can incorporate that into their decision-making process, and basically they're making an informed decision, because otherwise they can just say, oh, I had no idea that this house is in a flood zone or that it has flooded before, you know, until the owners are required to disclose this. Although we do have property disclosures when people buy houses, and that is on there most of the time. You'll see, you know, has the property had any flood damage recently or things like that? You'll see that in the property disclosure statement. They say one of the best indicators of whether a house will flood is if the house has flooded before. Really? Well, like I said, I don't think this is really going to make a difference for most people, guys. Like, first of all, almost anywhere can have a flood, all right? Like, just because somewhere hasn't flooded before also doesn't mean that it won't flood. So there's that. And you know, if you're moving into an area that's flood prone, like, some people just don't care, guys. Like, I have a relative, okay, that has lived on the river for almost her whole life, you know, at least the last 30 or 40 years, something like that. And almost on an annual basis, this river will flood to the point where you have the whole street covered in water up to your knees at least, and the entire basement of the house flooded and everything like that. This is almost an annual occasion, like clockwork, okay? And they still live at this house. They don't sell the house. They don't want to move. They like the river and the boating lifestyle and all this that it affords, and they deal with it, okay? And I think a lot of people that live near the water pretty much take that same approach to life and living in a waterfront house or near the water. It's like kind of like just taking the good with the bad, I think, is how most people look at it. And from what I can tell, from everything I've read from people's comments, from my own experience in selling real estate in the past and everything like that, Basically, what I gather is the most important things to buyers are not the things that the government thinks that matters the most. Like, you know, people care about their monthly payment, they care about the location of the house, they care about if it's in the right school district for their children, and they care if the house checks off all of their wish list boxes, you know? Those are the things people care about. They don't care about insurance, they don't care about flooding, they don't care about HOAs, they don't care about anything, guys. They just want the house and, you know, the lifestyle that that house affords. And I can understand that, you know, I think that's a pretty natural way for most people to think, but it also gets a lot of people in trouble, unfortunately, because by not thinking through the purchase decision very thoroughly, then it gets a lot of people in trouble, and because they didn't do their research ahead of time with things like flooding and the cost of insurance and all of this that goes along with it. I think 2024 is shaping up to be a pretty interesting year for the economy in general, especially if we continue to see housing remain flat and economic conditions kind of worsen throughout the year, which is very likely to happen, especially since the Fed announced they're going to be cutting rates next year. That's always followed by a recession, and it's going to be an interesting year to report on for sure, guys. And speaking of an interesting year, Happy New Year to everybody that watches my channel. I don't know if you're seeing this on New Year's Eve or the following day. Either way, Happy New Year. Thanks for sticking with me throughout 2023, and I'm looking forward once again to an awesome 2024 with you guys. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and if you don't want to wait for my next video to come out, check out this one on the screen right over here, and I'll see you in the next one.